Track by Track with Ringo Starr. We got a lot of new subscribers over the past 2 weeks, like almost 200 new subscribers. And you may not know. So yes, a lot of this channel is devoted to teaching, and you can go through these videos and you'll see 80% of them are all about teaching. But we do a few other things besides. We do some shows, and there's a show called Musicians on Couches, and this show in particular is called Track by Track with Ringo Starr, where we just take a break from the teaching and we have a discussion. And if you disagree with me, you're welcome to put that in the comments. Be nice. If you have a comment to help it, to tell me something I didn't know, or maybe even correct me on something I got wrong, go ahead, put it in the comments, DM me, whatever you'd like to do, that's fine. This is kind of a fun discussion. I'm a big Beatles fan, a big Ringo fan. And so Track by Track, really, in a quick synopsis, starts with the early Beatle albums, and we watch the evolution of Ringo. When you listen to those early albums, he's playing much in the style of what was happening back then. He takes those fills every 8 bars or so, and he plays those jazzy, snary fills with lots of rim shots, and that's cool. And then we have the Help, Hard Day's Night, Beatle for Sale, where, like Help, except for the opening tom fill, he grooves all the way through at 200 beats a minute. He kills it. I love that song. He doesn't stop. 200 beats a minute, all the way through for 3 minutes straight. And then we get to Revolver. And although Revolver mostly is the same, he's just playing pocket, and your bird can sing, he doesn't take a fill at all. Tomorrow Never Knows, no fills in that one. He plays a really cool groove, but no fills. But She Said, and we talked about this in the last video. She Said, he's amazing. He plays a fill about every other bar. Let's listen to some of the isolated tracks of She Said. All right, let's also listen to John's story about She Said. And maybe you don't know, I'm going to let him tell it really, but they had all taken LSD with the exception of Paul, and this song is the only song that Paul does not play on in the entire Beatles catalog.
And we were in the garden, had it. It was only the second one. We still didn't know anything about do it in a nice place and cool it and all that. We just took it, And then we suddenly saw the reporter, and we think, how do we act normally? Because we imagined we were acting extraordinary, which we weren't. We thought, surely somebody can see, We were terrified waiting for him to go, and he wondered why he couldn't come over. And Neil, who had never had it either, had taken it, and he still had to play road manager. We said, go and get rid of Don Short, and he didn't know what to do. He just sort of sat with it. And Peter Fonda came, and that was another thing. And he kept on saying, I know what it's like to be dead. We said, and he kept saying it, we were saying, for Christ's sake, shut up, we don't care. We don't want to know. And he kept going on about it. And that's how I wrote She Said.
So what happened here? What happened? I believe, is it in part because Ringo had taken LSD and some creative doors were open that had been closed? Yes, I do believe that's part of it. But I also believe that Paul wasn't in the room. Paul was known as a control freak. You can find this on YouTube, and if I find a clip of one of them saying, I'll put it in. When Paul wrote a tune, he would tell Ringo what he wanted him to play, George what he wanted him to play, and we see that in Peter Jackson's Get Back videos with Disney.
The word I always got was that Paul was not open to suggestion about the music, but John was. John was more open to, if you said, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, he would listen. Paul was more exacting. He knew exactly what he wanted.
We have to thank Paul for the amount of music we put out, because he's the workaholic.
Right.
But when John came in with the tune, he sort of let the guys develop it. Would he make suggestions sometimes? Yeah, he did. But overall, he let the guys put in what they wanted, and Ringo felt free. Paul was not there, and he felt free. And I think when they listened back and they realized how good She Said. Now I know Ringo himself, his favorite playing is on Rain, because he just plays much more like Mitch Mitchell in that tune than he played like Charlie Watts. Prior to that, he was playing more like Charlie Watts, and then she said, and further, he starts adding this much freer way of approaching the drums. And we see that in a number of tunes, Strawberry Fields Forever, A Day in the Life. We just see him playing all of these fills that are musical and bring the tunes together. Strawberry Fields Forever, that's mastery. That is mastery. He brings 3 tempos and 3 different ideas and bridges them together with these incredible little fills. The same thing with Day in the Life. When you think of A Day in the Life, you think of, I read the news today, oh boy, bum bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Right? You can't not think of those fills. It's just incredible. A Lovely Reader's another one. So lots of tunes now he's just playing his heart out. And I feel, to some extent, he realized, hey, he's a Beatle. Are they going to fire him? No. Not anymore. They're not going to fire him now. Those 4 guys, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, nobody else could fit those shoes anymore. So I think the LSD and the fact that he realizes, maybe in part because of the LSD, that he is Ringo, he's going to start to feel free. And John, and I think Paul did too to some extent, they hear what he could bring to the table when you took the leash off. What he could bring to the table when you took the leash off. All right, so let's talk about Rain. First, let's talk about the original recording of Rain, which is faster, right? And this is the backing tracks, and they recorded at a faster tempo, and then they slow it down to get a thicker sound. Now, for those folks that don't think that Ringo had chops, just take a listen to those fills and that Mitch Mitchell type playing on Rain at this tempo. I'm probably going to get hit with a copyright thing because of it, but I don't care. I want you to hear it. Take a listen.
1, 2.
So Ringo, up to this point, this is She Said squared. He's really feeling free to just do his thing. Again, in part because of the LSD? Maybe. I'm not going to discount it, but I'm going to think that, yeah, he was realizing he was Ringo Starr. What were they going to do to him? As a matter of fact, let's go to the drum lab right now, and I'm going to demonstrate some of the fills, because even within that fill every other bar craziness, there's a theme. Anyway, themes is the main thing I got from Ringo, because that's about song drumming. That's about song drumming. That's how you play a pop tune, or really any tune. And what do I mean by themes? In other words, when I'm either doing a session or even I'm playing with a band for the first time, when they go to the bridge or a chorus, I'm going to use variations of the same fill every single time. Usually I'll go from the most basic to the most difficult as I go through the tune. And Ringo did that starting from She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. There were always themes in his playing. Okay? So let's talk about the themes in Rain. In other words, it's Tuesday, you get the call, Rain's on the list, you're going to play Rain, you know that Ringo takes a fill every other bar, he's really having a great time in this song, and if it was me, would I learn every fill? No way! No way, I ain't got time for that. I would not do it. But would I play that song in a way that the audience would think I was playing all the fills the way Ringo played it? You betcha. And how would I do that? I would play the themes. First of all, the very first one that you got to know, and it's an easy one, every time they come up to that break, where it's just John's vocals really, right? Da-dee-da-da. Ringo does a single stroke roll, 16th notes, starting on beat 2, stopping on beat 4, and then he adds the and of 4. Now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start with my left hand because I'm left-handed. And it's not as much about left and right, it's about dominant hand and non-dominant hand. If you're right-handed, your right hand's your dominant hand. So I'm gonna say this. Look, Whenever I'm playing, just do the opposite if you're right-handed. I had one guy send me a comment saying he couldn't understand what I was doing because I was lefty. I'm lefty. If you're righty, you just do this with your right hand leading if that's the way you want to do it. Okay, I'm going to and it's a crescendo. Crescendo. I got it posted here. It's soft to loud. And sometimes he starts that on 1, sometimes he starts it on 2. I pretty much started on 2 all the time. So you got that little bit. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. And every time that happens, he plays that, or maybe a little more than that. Maybe he starts it on 1. That's theme number 1. Theme number 2 that he does is 3E end of 4E end. 3E end of 4E. Remember, he's taking a fill about every other bar. And he throws this in a lot. But he does it several different ways. Sometimes he does this, 3E end, 4E end. Very simple. Again, I'm leading with my left. You can lead this with your right. 3E end, 4E end. Sometimes he does this, 3E end, 4E end. 3E end. Many variations of this, and they happen, you can kind of tell when it's kind of, he does a series of fills, and usually the first couple of them are some variations of that one, and then finally in every verse he does some variation of this next theme, and this next theme is a type of polyrhythm. He's grouping 3 1/8 notes together, but counting them like 16s. Let me show you what I mean. Starting from beat 1, he doesn't always start this from beat 1. Sometimes he starts it from beat 3, sometimes beat 4, but he does this. I'm just going to do it on my snare. Again, I'm starting with my left. You can start with your right if you want to. This is funny because of what this guy said. If you need, hold your phone up to a mirror. Okay, it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. He plays around the kit with it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Any way you want. If you're doing that rhythm, you're in. So there you have the 3 basic themes that he has. He's got, and again, that last one, sometimes he starts it from beat 3, sometimes beat 4, sometimes beat 1. And so as you listen to the song, again, the show's on Saturday night, you listen, you can kind of hear where he puts those in, and he kind of puts those in the same places all the time, and you'll be able to play that song on Saturday night, and the band will think you're doing it note for note almost. They will, because most guitar players, they're not honing in on the drums note for note. They're listening to the rhythms and the theme that Ringo was doing. And let me say this to you, that is a great way to play anytime. Create themes. In other words, to every song that I'm playing, I'm doing my own version of the song in rhythms. I'm doing rhythmical versions of the song. All right, let me close. Let me put a little caveat on it. I'm going to play, at least partially play Rain, I think right up to the break. I love this song. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs ever. A lot because of the way Ringo plays on it. And I don't know if they're going to get me on it. I'm going to have the music very, very quiet. If they get me on it, I might have to pull it down, and then I'll put it up of me playing it without the music. So it's either going to be there or not, I don't know. I watched a few drum covers of this tune on YouTube, and some people left the music in, and they got away with it, but it was very, very quiet. Others, they took everything out, and you got nothing. You got silence. So I don't know. I don't know. So we're going to give it a shot, all right? Anyway, that's track by track this week with Ringo Starr, Rain.